Hi, I'm Kristal Hart, and welcome to the Kristal Hart Show. We are at the 43rd Annual Thurman Munson Awards Ceremony, which celebrates famous athletes and corporate leaders who contribute to society. The beneficiary of the event is the AHRC New York City Foundation, which assists children and adults with intellectual and developmental disorders. Thurman Munson was a catcher and captain for the New York Yankees from 1969 to 1979. His life was tragically taken while he was practicing takeoffs and landings in his private plane at the Akron-Canton Airport in Ohio. Since then, his widow, Diana Munson, keeps his legacy alive through this event.
Cirillo, and it's my pleasure to host the 43rd Annual Thurman Munson Awards press conference prior to tonight's dinner. For the past 43 years, the Munson Dinner has raised $19 million for AHRC New York City Foundation. Amazing. I first want to extend sincere thanks to the media who have helped to propel this event and keep it in the minds of New Yorkers and the country. So thank you to the writers and broadcasters. This is my 22nd Munson Dinner. So I'm getting old, and I'm also fortunate that I've been part of this special program for half of its history. Amazing. Not quite as long as Jay Horwitz with the Mets, but we're getting there. Without the great woman standing to my right, this event would never have continued nor been as successful as it's been. She's been at virtually all 43, missed one because of the COVID lockdown, and I think there was one other, but at least 40 years, part of this great AHRC family, and always my pleasure to introduce Thurman's wife, his sweetheart, Diana Munson.
Thank you so much. Again, I would like to just add to what John said. The fact that the press is still covering this dinner in such a wonderful fashion, I'm so grateful, because remembering Thurman 43 years later is an amazing achievement. He was a very unique man, and he didn't always do well with the press. So I went through life trying to be his cheerleader, and he said to me a long time ago, "Honey, you can't be my cheerleader." Well, I can now. I can tell you that recognizing him and celebrating his life and the achievements that he's had, and being able to raise over $19 million for AHRC means the world to myself and my family. We weren't able to share him for a long time, but he obviously made an impact on people, and New Yorkers in particular. And this for me is a homecoming, and again, I thank you for being here, and I thank you for honoring Thurman and for being so generous to AHRC. Have a good evening.
Diana, if you can stay up for the photos, or we'll do that in a little bit. We have 4 tremendous honorees, and a 5th special guest is going to be pinch hitting for one of them. So we got more than our money on this one. Let me acknowledge a few of our celebrity guests that are regulars. I see Super Bowl champions Carl Nelson and Hall of Famer Harry Carson. Thank you, guys. And former Met pitcher, Brooklyn's Nelson Figueroa. I think he's there. Hi, Nelly. And two-time World Series champ, Thurman's teammate, Roy White. Hi, Roy. Thanks for coming. If the media would like to chat with them, you can do so when we're done with the press conference. First up is our first professional golfer to receive a Thurman Munson Award. It's no slight on the sport. February and into March, it's tournament time, and it's tough to get those commitments. And instead, we went back to a Hall of Famer. She has won virtually, I shouldn't say virtually, all of the majors, the PGA, the US Open, in the Golf Hall of Fame. The Annika Foundation assists young golfers and propels the sport into the future. She's actually going to be in action in a celebrity tournament coming up in April, and it's a don't miss. You have to watch Annika play against the likes of John Smoltz and so many baseball players as a celebrity entrance, and we're always rooting for her. And it's my pleasure to introduce Annika Sorenstam.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Great to be here. Thank you so much for the introduction. What can I say? I mean, obviously, super thrilled to be here. Trying to figure out where I fit in this mix, but I appreciate, just the recognition of some of the contributions I've done to my sport since I stepped away 14 years ago. I think we share the passion of giving back and feeling very fortunate where we are today and be able to impact people that might not be so fortunate as we are. So I'm thrilled to be here. Nice to see so many people and get to know a little bit more about the Thurman Munson, what he's done and contributed to, and obviously the charities that are involved here tonight. So look forward to meeting most of you here tonight and enjoy the evening together. I don't know if anybody has any questions. I'm happy to talk to you.
Annika, I'll ask you one.
Yeah.
How does it feel competing against the guys who played baseball but have become very, very good golfers, because most of them are starting pitchers who only pitch every fourth or fifth day? So.
Yeah, what can I say? They're amazing athletes. I've had a chance to play and compete against some of them. You mentioned John Smoltz and some other. Greg Maddox is another one that I've played with, and it's just, what can I say? Amazing athletes, power, strength, concentration, and I know many of them love the game. When I speak to John, I said, where do you guys practice? He says, we always bring our wedge out to the field and start hitting. So it's just fun to play. I've been lucky to play against some of the celebrities, and just really always admired how dedicated they are to the game, really how focused they are and how professional they are. I'm trying to put myself in a situation where I would go out either on the field or in the pool or maybe on the ski slope. I wouldn't do half as well as they're doing. So I really admire them for that. And I think obviously as an athlete, we are put in situations, to really work hard and be disciplined, but to take, your skills from one area to another and do it so well is always fun to see, and something I always learn also. Yeah.
Go ahead, Lloyd.
Eric, I know I covered tennis, and the WTA 4ATP, you have basically equal following both the public and the media. The WNBA is starting to make some strides, getting a little closer to getting that vast attention. Do you see the LPGA and being able to close the gap with the LPGA?
Yeah, I would love to see that, of course. Being a female athlete and being a golfer on the LPGA, I would love to see the LPGA get a little closer to the PGA. A lot of things have happened in our sport this year. A lot of changes. A lot of the purses have gone up on the men's tour, so the gap is still there. Is probably, I would say a seventh or a tenth of what the men play for, but I want to say that the women's golf is in good hands. We have a great commissioner, and the women around the world are great ambassadors of the sport, and we're starting to play some really good golf courses. I spoke to Ann a little bit. We mentioned about, getting the ladies to play what we call bucket list courses, which I think just elevates the game, but it's also, puts a little more respect into the women, and also, sponsors that want to host maybe at, Baltusrol, or, the U.S. Open is at Pebble Beach this year. So I think that's good for the game. We're going to keep growing, just be advocate of the sport and women, and just kind of think forward.
One more.
Yeah.
You were talking about that great score you shot in Portugal last week, incredible low score. What's the key to improving in this stage of your life?
Yeah, well, I retired almost, 14, maybe 15 years ago. So I'm a different position now than I was then. Sometimes I say my mind is still there, but my body is not the same. So yeah, I play for different reasons. My mindset is different. My husband and Mike is here. It's more the experience and more about giving back to the game. And through the Annika Foundation, we do that. I inspire hopefully several hundred girls a year, because we have a foundation with 7 global tournaments, and we have different initiatives out there every year. So for 14 years, we have over 7,000 girls have been in our program, and I feel like that keeps me going. That keeps me sharing my passion and my knowledge to the next generation of golf. But for me right now, and I'm sure the avid golfers in this room, it's like we got to keep it to the basics, right? The basics in the swing, the basics around the greens, and focus on the big picture and not the small ones, and just more have fun with the game. There's not many sports out there, in my opinion. I'm sure the baseball players have a different opinion, but I think golf is a game for life and something you can do with the whole family. So, and I also think that it teaches you a lot of lessons. There's so many synergies between golf and life that I've learned and probably appreciate more now as a mother and, businesswoman and entrepreneur. I look at these things, I go, you know what? I think that's more, golf has really helped me to prepare for my next chapter in life.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Enjoy the evening.
Have a seat, and we're going to get some pictures.
Okay.
Thank you. I want to introduce the man behind the scenes, the CEO of AHRC New York City Foundation, Marco Damiani. Marco. I love trying to use my Italian accent.
Fatto bene. You did well.
That's it.
In 1949, a young mom named Ann Greenberg put a 5-line ad in the New York Post. And that ad asked other moms in the Bronx if they wanted to set up a nursery for their kids with disabilities. Ann's young son had an intellectual disability, and what she chose to do was incredibly brave and unique in 1949. She chose not to put her son in an institution. 75 years later, we're the largest organization in the state and probably the country doing work for kids and adults with disabilities. Ann's spirit is still here, and so is Thurman's. Because of Thurman Munson's generous spirit and Diana's unflagging commitment to this organization, we have world-class athletes here every year celebrating the work we do. You help us raise money, help us raise recognition, and you have a good time at the same time. So I can't thank everybody here enough for committing to us, for celebrating what we do every day, and for recognizing that even though we do terrific work, our job's not done. People with disabilities still don't have their rightful place in society. So thank you all for being here, and have a great time this evening.
Thank you. We're going to get the whole lineup together for some photos after we do the introductions. Well, here's a gentleman who might be the most respected man in baseball. Like Thurman, he was drafted by the Yankees. Like Thurman, he's a member of the Cape Cod League Hall of Fame, where he had, I think it may be a league record, 450. Of all teams, he never knew he'd be with them, the Hyannis Mets. He's a 4-time manager of the year who was embraced by every community that he's managed in, from Arizona to Baltimore, his years with the Yankees, and now the manager of the New York Mets. He led them to a 101-win season last year. My pleasure to introduce Buck Showalter. Buck.
Now what?
Just a few
I have to.
comments on
I have to.
the award.
I have to follow Annika. Jeez, I used to watch her. She was so good. You always, it's like a good manager. You felt like she could take your clubs and beat you, and then take your clubs and beat her. But no, it's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be asked anytime, anything in New York, but especially here with Diana and the family, and what this has meant to so many people for so many years. And you know, I called Aaron Boone to get an advanced scouting report. He said, "Just go." I said, "You'll like it." I said, "It's a really, you'll feel good about it, and you'll be glad you went." And I got to leave St. Lucie too, and that's always a good thing. So, and believe me, the people down there were glad to see me leave for a while. They were kind of hoping I'd take my time coming back. It's great to come in here and see Nelly Figueroa and Roy White, and of course the great Ron Swoboda. And Ron, Brandon Nimmo says thank you, and we will extract a pound of flesh from him for not being here. Trust me, in a good way, in a good way. But you know, the honor is all mine to get up here and be able to take a moment to reflect on the impact that you know, this foundation has had and will continue to have, and also know that you can play a small part in it. And you know, players and organizations have allowed you to manage and coach and be a part of things, and you always got to keep that in mind. You know, you win a manager so-called of the year because of the players and the things that they've done that year. They never give it to a bad team. So I try to keep that in mind, and I'm always respectful, try to be an honor to have a chance to continue to earn a living and actually get paid for it. But these are the things that make it all worthwhile. So any questions we may have, none of them as hard as Annika's, please. But if we want to talk about, I got a feeling what oh, you're going to ask them. Good.
No,
Are they right here?
Get you with the writers. After the,
Oh, whatever, whatever. You know, we haven't lost a game yet.
undefeated.
You know the perfect year in spring training is when you finish one game over 500. You know, don't win too many and think they're going to win them all. Don't lose too many. Nelly, that's a little secret. Finish one game over 500 in the spring and beat the Yankees if you play them. What else? We good?
Yeah, we're good. We're
Good. So no questions about somebody's comments in a paper or something. Good.
Later. We're going to do that later. Thank
Okay.
you, Buck.
Thank you.
Have a seat right there. Thank you. Our next honoree is actually has been a year in coming. Last year's dinner, we had to switch the date from February because of a COVID surge, and by the time we reset, it was going to be March, and the young man was down at spring training with the Bronx Bombers. He was the Yankees Roberto Clemente Award nominee a year ago, so that tells you all what he thinks about the community and how important it is for players to do more than just throw the ball and hit the ball and catch the ball. He's had an amazing career. He was drafted in 2008 and did not make it to the majors until 2018 because of injuries. His first 3 hits were home runs in 3 consecutive games. He caught a no-hitter for the Yankees. He had a 3-home-run game for the Yankees. Just tremendous stats. And he'll tell you a little bit about his community work as well, but it's really a pleasure to have him here. And one of the easiest athletes I've ever had to deal with, and that's saying something. Kyle Higashioka. Kyle, thank you.
Yeah, I'm beyond grateful to be here, especially being honored by such a great organization like AHRC New York. You know, when you set out to give back, though, I don't think this is really the aim to be recognized, but this is more of an award for my parents. They they always kind of told me to give back whenever you're in a position of success. So, you know, just glad to be here and celebrating it with everyone.
Kyle, stick around. We're going to do photos with all the honorees. Mets homegrown product Brandon Nimmo is receiving a Munson Award tonight. He has sent a video message. Unfortunately, he's not able to be here. He had an early start to spring training getting ready for 2023, and we respect that. He just signed a huge contract, and he's getting ready. But Jay Harwitz jumped in and found a pinch hitter, deluxe. Personal note, he's my favorite all-time player. I wore number 4, making diving catches in the sandlots in Sheepshead Bay, Brooklyn, thanks to this guy. And he's a previous Munson Award recipient and a huge supporter of AHRC. He's been here to present Ed Kranepool and other Mets and did receive a Munson Award himself. So number 4, Ron Swoboda. '69 World Series champ.
Yeah, I see my number really propelled you into a different career. No, I'm tickled to be here because Brandon Nimmo, I'm a guy that gets MLB extra innings, and I watch all the Met games I can watch. And my wife can't stay in the room with me because I do scream at the television occasionally. But it's just because I have the curse of caring about the Mets. And this guy out of the one hole, Brandon Nimmo, has looked to me from day one like the guy you want in that position. So it's you know, it's a thrill for me to be here. This happened all of a sudden a couple days ago, but I'm a retired guy, right? I played golf yesterday in New Orleans, and I didn't shoot my age, which is getting a little scary at this point in time. But I'm going to tell you, I'm thrilled to be back here. I've been to so many of these dinners, and I'll reserve all my other comments for later on. But if anybody has any questions, I'm around. That'll hold you. Cool.
With us is Diana Munson, Thurman Munson's widow. 43 years of this event. Explain to the audience what about this event.
Well, as you said, it's been going on 43 years, and we lost Thurman in 1979 and started the dinner in honor of him, and they said it would last for a few years and it would raise money for AHRC, which is very dear to our hearts, and it was to Thurman. And it's been going on for 43 years now, and New York still loves him.
And how much money's been raised? And tell us a little bit. I mean, it's an astronomical number for something that was just going to last 1 year.
Well, yes, they said it's built on sentiment, so it would only be, 2-3 years at the most, and we've raised over $19 million in Thurman Munson's name.
And what are some of, have you been there to visit and see exactly where the money, where goes
I've
for?
been at the group homes, I've been at the camps, I've been at the schools, I've seen the residents, I've seen how they progressed. Some of the children came into the schools and were unable to speak. And then a few years later when I went back, they were singing and dancing and putting on little scenes from Broadway shows, and it's so impressive and it's so heartwarming to know that not only are we remembering Thurman, but we're doing a wonderful thing for everyone having to do with AHRC. I'm really proud.
And this is a special year because, well, there was COVID, and that sort of slowed things down a little.
It's the first time that I've ever missed, actually. COVID, was rampant in our family and in Ohio, so I missed the last 2 years, so I'm so happy to be back.
And just say a little bit about the man, Thurman.
Well, that would take forever. He was the most unique individual I've ever known, and I not only loved him as a husband and a father, but I loved watching him as a ball player. I was actually a fan. He played the game the way you should play the game, and he still was a little boy at heart, and I loved that about him.
And he was the catcher and captain. And, as a catcher, you're in on every play. I mean, that is such a demanding role to play in baseball. And you have all the temperaments of the pitchers, and you really need to be able to keep everyone together. And, things go wrong, and he's the one who has to stabilize it.
Well, I think that's what Mr. Steinbrenner saw in Thurman. He was a leader, whether he would own it or not. And Mr. Steinbrenner said, "I'm going to make you captain." And Thurman kind of balked at it only because he said, there are a lot of captains on this field. And in fact, Mr. Steinbrenner recognized that Thurman was a leader. And I think when he started with the Yankees in the 70s, they were struggling. And Thurman said, "We're going to do this. We're going to win again." And you know what the 70s were like. At the end, we were winning everything. So I feel like Thurman had a huge part in that.
Well, once again, here at Thurman Munson Award ceremony, and thank you so much, Diana, for your time.
Oh, it's my honor. It's really a pleasure to come back and be able to see all the love. And, people are just wonderful in New York, and they still love him.
And I fly into that Akron-Canton airport a lot.
Do you?
I do,
Yeah. It's still
in Cleveland.
It's still a wonderful hometown, but this is home for me.
This is home?
This is home.
Well, go Yanks.
That's right. That's right. Thank you.
Thank you.